Chapter 1.2.2 Communication between nodes and the control plane. This document outlines the communication paths between the API server and the Kubernetes cluster, providing users with the ability to customize their installation for enhanced network security. By hardening the network configuration, the cluster can be safely operated on untrusted networks or with fully public IPs on cloud providers. Node to control plane. The Kubernetes API follows a hub-and-spoke pattern, with all API usage from nodes terminating at the API server, which is configured to listen for remote connections on a secure HTTPS port with client authentication enabled. Authorization should be enabled, particularly if anonymous requests or service account tokens are allowed. Nodes need to be provisioned with the public root certificate for secure connection to the API server with valid client credentials. For pods to connect securely to the API server, they can leverage a service account to automatically inject the public root certificate and a valid bearer token. The Kubernetes service in the default namespace is configured with a virtual IP address that redirects to the API server via kube proxy. Control plane components also communicate with the API server over the secure port, ensuring secure connections by default for nodes and pods over untrusted or public networks. Control plane to node. The text discusses the two primary communication paths from the control plane, API server, to the nodes in a Kubernetes cluster. The first path is from the API server to the kubelet process running on each node, which is used for fetching logs, attaching to running pods, and port forwarding. However, this connection is not secure by default and is susceptible to man-in-the-middle attacks. To secure this connection, the -kubelet-certificate authority flag can be used, or SSH tunneling can be implemented. The second communication path is from the API server to nodes, pods, and services through plain HTTP connections, which are not authenticated or encrypted. While HTTPS connections can be used to encrypt the traffic, they do not provide guarantees of integrity and are not safe for untrusted or public networks. To secure the communication paths, SSH tunnels can be used, although they are deprecated in favor of the connectivity service in Kubernetes v1.118. The connectivity service provides TCP-level proxy for control plane to cluster communication, consisting of the connectivity server in the control plane network and connectivity agents in the nodes network. This service ensures secure communication between the control plane and nodes by routing traffic through encrypted connections. To set up the connectivity service in a cluster, the connectivity service task should be followed.